So, it is my honour and my privilege to welcome everybody to our webinar today. Wonderful again to be, it's all about inspired action. Here with my good friends now, Grace Kelly and Dominic Scafidi, who I've known for, I don't know how long I've known you for, but for quite a while. It began with me taking part in your Living Miraculously program all those years ago now. I think it's 4 years, right? Since you
hmm
began.
hmm
Um, and so, Grace is a transformational coach, and Dominic's a certified executive coach. They work with lots and lots of clients all around the world, internationally and locally. But what I thought would be more interesting would be to share a little bit, and some of you may have heard this story before, but to share a little bit about my experience of taking inspired action, which happened a couple of years ago now. So initially I had an inspired idea to invite Dominic Scafidi to run a 2-day retreat here in Albania. So I live in Spain. My name's Sheila, just in case I didn't introduce myself. I'm Sheila, and I live at where the retreat in May will be held. And this will be our third retreat. But backtracking to how it all came about was, so I'd invited Dominic to run a 2-day retreat on his own. And in that retreat, I heard him really I still remember it really clearly now. He talked about when you have an inspired idea, immediately and without fail will come he called it BS. So the BS thinking will come with it. It's like a two-sided coin, that you cannot have an inspired idea without the BS coming with it. And that was really powerful for me because I hadn't really caught that before. So fast forward a little bit, Grace and Dominic very kindly invited everybody who came to the Viva event last year, which was just before Dominic's event and Dominic's event too, a free 5-day webinar series they were running. And I think it was day two. It was day two or day three when I had this inspired idea that, and so backtrack again, sorry, when Dominic was here, I heard him say more than once, that Grace had been trying to persuade him to run an in-person retreat, and he'd resisted the idea for years. And so that seed had been planted, I guess. And so fast forward to this webinar I heard something about inspired action. But then another day I was having a walk, that same day I think it was, I was having a walk and I had the idea of go and have a coffee. And I was like, I can't go and have a coffee. I'm too busy. Inspired idea, BS. I caught it and it was like, go to the coffee shop. So I went to the coffee shop, my favorite coffee shop in Albert. Long story short, on the way home, I had this inspired idea to invite Grace. I just love my coffee shop and just by the sea and all those sorts of things. Invite Grace and Dominic to come and run a retreat together. Immediately the BS comes in. Why would Grace want to come to Spain? She lives in beautiful Italy. She knows how to run retreats. She's got no problem in running retreats. She's done them for years herself. Luckily, I caught it again. And so by the time I got home, I got straight onto the email and sent an email to the both of them and just thought, well, can't hurt, can it? And within an hour, I think they both came back, said, yes, let's talk. So that's my very I suppose it's my prime example at the moment of not listening to the BS that comes along with the inspired ideas, but to take the inspired action that leads from these inspired ideas. Just take the action without listening to the BS. But it's so compelling, this habitual thinking. That's how it looks to me. Very sensible. So sensible. The idea that Grace can run these retreats. Who am I to invite her to come out? I know Dominic would love to come back, and maybe he doesn't even want to do it with Grace. Maybe he was just telling his stories. I don't know. There's all these random thoughts that just run through our minds, to my mind for sure. But you know what? I'm so pleased that I did. As Dominic pointed out to me, he said, and look what's unfolded from that. Like one action and then another retreat and another retreat. So the next one is in May here in Albania where I am. This will be our third retreat together. It'll be Dominic's fourth time out here on retreat. So you just never know what's going to happen just from taking that inspired action. So yeah, that's my little bit of intro that I wanted to share with you.
Mm.
So I encourage everybody on the call right now to just notice what BS might be coming in as you perhaps have some inspired ideas and yeah, take note. Okay, so I'm going to
Mm.
hand over, I think, to Grace, right?
Thank you, Sheila. Yeah. And little did you know that I had been asking for quite some time for a way to do retreats that didn't involve me also being the organizer. So, whilst I've been able to host international clients on retreats, I certainly had been yearning for a way to do it where I could just show up as the coach. And isn't it amazing how, our inspired ideas and desires, what's calling us is also a yearning in someone else. And we might not know that. We might not know that at the time. This is why we're so pleased to bring this subject forward because it is one of those subjects that we can get in our head about a lot. We can really get lost in thought. Is this an inspired idea? Should I do this? Should I not do that? And so if nothing else from today, we hope that you would begin to tune into your inspired actions, not so much the BS, we're already really good at that bit, but really beginning to tune into what's nudging you, what's life calling you to, and can you follow that? Because life gets a lot easier when we follow it. Business unfolds a lot more gracefully when we follow that. It's always kind of amazing that despite Dominic's resistance to my encouragement, invitations to
I was
bring
following my BS. I, I was I was engaging with my BS.
but life still had a way of bringing our idea to form, you know, Sheila's idea to form, my yearning for in person. And so there's a level of following our desire. I always love that word, and some of you have heard this from me before, but desire comes from the Latin desidere, which means from the Father. You can trust your desire. It's God wanting to express through you, or the divine, or whatever you want to resonate with, wanting to express through you. And so our desires are a really good indicator of what's meant to be born or created next. And we have free will. We can ignore them. But when we do, we suffer because we'll either find that our desires continue to tap us or call us, or we'll find ourselves living in a lot of frustration. I work
Mm.
with coaches a lot of the time, and you know, it's so interesting to just notice that the level of boredom and lethargy and frustration really dissipates when they honor what they really want to do in their business. And usually
Mm.
it doesn't look like anyone else's. So, we're talking today about being moved by desire. We're talking today about an effortless creation, an action that comes from inspiration, not desperation. And we really want to keep honing this piece home with you
Mm.
that you can follow that and trust that.
Well, and it really is what you're saying is where is it coming from? And the very word points to what we're saying when you say of the Father, so of source. Somewhere within me, there is an energy, the energy that lives and breathes me. And within it, it's an energy that wants my thriving. It wants an expansion. It wants to express and experience itself. And and there's something about so how do I know we're talking about desire, not obsession with wanting something. right? It's a distinction. Oh, I think I want this. It has a different kind of feeling in it, and I won't be okay if I don't have this thing. That's a little different feeling. It's like there's something missing for me, and I've got to go get it, and it's got a different energy to it. What we're talking about is is different in the feeling of it. And that feeling, it's important to know. See, because once you know it, you can trust it. When you know that that energy is formed of an infinite intelligence, it is what creates everything. So if you feel that towards something, that means the intelligence of its unfolding is known. The intelligence of its creation is known. It's already known within you. And so in my experience, we keep talking about this whole BS or noise. BS is really a personal thinking. Grace had been talking about doing something in person since we began living miraculously 4 years ago. And every time she would talk about an in-person thing, my mind was like, complicated, too complicated. That's too much. I can't do right. I could not hear anything because the minute it came up, the noise of all of what it would take was showing up with it. And this is the truth, is I was more engaged with what was louder in that. Thank you, by the way, for translating the bullshit of this thinking. I was more interested in honoring, respecting, listening to what this nonsense had to say than to even, quite frankly, at that time, to even take a second to pause so I could feel into, well, what Grace said, is that something I'd want to do? Is that like a yes? Is that there? I didn't even just give it a minute to sort of feel it a little bit. I was just instantly into this, right? And so that's just the reality of how this is that that's what happens. And so what we're pointing to is that there's a reason it comes up. There's a reason Grace would talk to me. So in other words, the universe says, well, we can't seem to get his attention, but maybe she could. And so, because I'll tell you, this infinite intelligence has a way of working around you, and it'll work through what's around you. You will see something on a billboard. I mean, it has a way of communicating in infinite ways, 24/7 through every breath. It will keep communicating in the direction of your desire. And it's a matter of, are you quiet enough to hear what that nudge is? Well, I wasn't. I was way too engaged with the chatter of this, shutting that down, more like, no, 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 that's not something like that. And so uh, that, that's a real life experience of not following that flow or that energy.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's just an innocent habit of thought, friends. I hear myself arguing with my wisdom regularly, and 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 we want to wake up to that. We want to catch when we're in an automatic no response. That's learned. That is learned. You learn that. And so when we look in the direction of inspired action, we're really looking in the direction of the yes response. What's coming alive in us? The feeling of aliveness can't be dampened by BS. The feeling of aliveness, we want to get familiar with the feeling of inspired action because even if we have our arguments against what we're being asked to do or create, that feeling is always going to let us know when something is a yes.
Hmm.
So often we can get into, oh, I'm procrastinating, I'm not doing anything, I should be doing more. And actually, there's wisdom in procrastination. Sometimes you're actually not getting a big yes or a yes. Let's not make it even a big yes. Some of these things are very simple, like what you're going to have for lunch or what you're going to wear. Very simple yeses or nos. And sometimes we don't know. And yet there's been this innocent tendency to criticize and condemn ourselves as procrastinating. What if procrastination is wisdom's way of getting you ready? What if
Hmm.
procrastination, like what if even between myself and Dominic, the procrastinating in between was us getting ready to be ready for Sheila to enter and make it all really easy. Like, let's get off this channel that procrastination is a thing and it's wrong and you're doing too much of it.
This is so important because we procrastination is like a judgment. It's this self-judgment. And you, when your thinking mind, this is the clarity about this. When your thinking mind comes up with how you will move toward what you desire, you may or may not get it right because you are finite intelligence. It's a little mind trying to figure out from here to what I desire. And so my finite mind, when Grace, there did come a point where it seemed appealing to me. It was like, I would love that. That would be really great. But my thinking mind, as far as what the step is and what the work would be and all of that, it laid out a path that I had no interest in. That's all there was to it. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. That I don't enjoy. And my thinking mind laid out a path. That's the only way you can do this. Right? Now, if I had been someone with a little more discipline and willpower, I would have committed to this and I would have committed to a plan, my plan. And with some discipline and willpower, I would have followed that plan. And here's what would have happened. I would have found myself procrastinating because there's no spirit behind it. It's a dumb plan, and the universe knows it. Actually, scratch that. The universe doesn't know that. The universe only knows the wise plan. So when you're following your plan, there is no energy behind that. There is no energy that creates worlds. The creator of all things did not come up with that plan. So as you attempt to move in that direction, just as I found, you'll procrastinate. Well, I know I should probably be researching the costs and figure it out and what are locations we could do that. Well, maybe tomorrow. Well, are you committed to this or not? Well, yeah, I am committed. I do. I like the idea of this, but I don't. Oh my God, and don't talk about promotion. I'd hate that. Later, after, even if we figured this all out, then I got to promote it. I don't want to do that, right? And so I'm just a procrastinator. versus my wisdom would not support that. My wisdom will not support useless activity that results in nothing. My wisdom has actions that are supported and backed up by the creator of all things, who has already figured out the path from where you are to where you want to be, along with all the cooperative components that are part of it. And who knew Sheila was one when it came to this? Sheila's in our program, but she would just thought the program was good. But who knew Sheila was going to be involved in this? I didn't, right? But see, that infinite intelligence knew, kind of knew what Sheila's desire was and what Sheila's doing. And so interesting how cooperative components show up. And to me, it was like a miracle. I couldn't believe when we get this message from Sheila that says, I've done a lot of retreats here and I organize them and I can da 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 da. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Where did this come from? It was like this solution to every piece of noise, bullshit in my mind just evaporated into are you kidding? It's so all it is an effortless kind of unfolding. And so the procrastination was wisdom, preventing wisdom, if I'm going to follow it. Don't waste your time. And I was taking it as self-judgment. Well, obviously you're not very committed. Well,
Yeah.
and you've never had any discipline anyway. You don't commit to anything, right? So it's like self-judgment as that procrastination, but really realizing now the wisdom in that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's wisdom in delay. There's wisdom in delay every time. And we want to be careful with this idea of ourselves as a procrastinator. Who made that up? That's an idea of ourselves. Usually, it's just another way of being dissatisfied with ourselves. See, we can use our thinking any which way we want. And one of the ways we've learned to use thought is against ourselves. And so when we are in that judgment, when we're labeling ourselves in any particular way that is coming from that critical thought, that critical mind, well, then we're not open to the beautiful dream that's been put in our heart. Now we're living dissatisfied instead of actioning the idea that's come to us. And so we want to be just a little careful with that label procrastinator. Just another way to be dissatisfied with ourselves.
Mhm. There's something in the leverage of the action that is inspired that will astonish you, surprise and delight you. In fact, in some cases, won't even seem connected. I mean, we have all kinds of stories, even the whole creation of the work you and I do together, right? We could tell. But at the very beginning of my coaching business, I had been an exec in organizations and 20-year corporate career, and then I got restructured out. And then here I was with two young kids, and I had this executive position with all the compensation about it, etc. And now what, right? And here I am self-employed, and anyway, long story short, I'm like, I want to be a coach, right? It kind of was it. But what do I do and how do I do this? And when I think about how ridiculous the beginning movement that birthed this business, which is a thriving practice, it doesn't, it's just doesn't, it's not logical. Um, I basically was doing, on this one day, kind of with nothing to do, or woke up and, of course, I'm not going to work doing anything. But what am I going to do? And well, I should probably be thinking about my business, but or at least doing something to start it. But it's a beautiful sunny day and it was wonderful. And I felt like I should journal. I want to journal. I want to sit out front, beautiful sunny there and sit and journal, which is not really all that helpful. But 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 that was the inspiration. And this is what's annoying about this inspiration is like, well, that's not really all that helpful. I'm trying to like create a coaching business and I need like really good ideas, not like go journal. So I whatever, go sit. It's beautiful, right? Couldn't believe the temperature was perfect and I'm journaling and journaling going along. I shouldn't have had my phone around, but it was. And a ping comes and I shouldn't have looked at it, but I did. So I picked it up and this email comes through and I read it and you know what it is one of those spam things. Somebody somewhere in my network, I don't know, years ago, more than 10 years, whatever, they still had my name and email. And it turns out that whatever, their daughter's doing something and there's a concert and okay, it was very impressive actually. It was quite an achievement. But still, it was annoying. It was like this email and their daughter's doing this thing. For sure, it was sent to hundreds of people, right? I could tell this person would know a lot of people. It was all blind copied. So I'm looking at this and I'm spammed, right? And so, by the way, first thought, like, ah, how annoying people do this. So I'm invited to go to this thing and probably buy tickets or something. I can't even remember the detail of it. So that was this annoying thought. I put my phone down, annoyed, so I could get back to journaling. And then another thought came. And the thought was, you know, that really is impressive. Like what that daughter's done, and it was a big deal in the arts. So I put the phone and I'm like, that really is impressive, that she did this. And so I'm kind of like annoyed, but this thought came, right? And I then had this thought, you should probably just acknowledge that. I'm like, why? She sent this thing to 200 people. Don't encourage it. Don't encourage this. So, so this other thought came. By the way, do you notice the difference in the feeling of these thoughts? The one thought is spam, annoying. Why do people do this? Why are the people so annoying? The other thought is, wow, that's so impressive. You should probably acknowledge this. I mean, I really do understand how she would be proud of her daughter and would want to. Okay, so notice the difference in the feeling of these thoughts. Now, don't ask me why, because by the way, the minute I felt this, say something, like reply back and say something, an immediate bullshit noise came. Like, what? Like, she doesn't even remember you anyway. Why would you even do that? And isn't that weird? She sends an email to all these people and you're gonna reply back. Like, that's just weird anyway, right? So somewhere in there, I just like stopped the debate and I picked up the phone and I sent them a message and I said, hey, name. I'm sure I've used the name before, Marlene. Um, you know, this is amazing. You must be so proud of what it was 2 sentences, okay? It was 2 sentences, but it was real. It was authentic. And I shoot it off and say, just that, right? This is really impressive. And I put my phone down because I'm supposed to be journaling. That's what I was inspired to do. So so I should be journaling. So I get back to journaling, but the phone pings again. Which point I pick up the phone, to which Marlene's now replying back, and she's saying, "Wow, Dominic, thank you so much. You really get it. You really got it, right?" And then her next sentence says, "By the way, what are you doing now?" Marlene's the vice president of human resources at this large organization, to which I reply, I say, "Well, I'm uh, got my coaching certification and I'm just starting a coaching practice, blah, blah, blah." 2 sentences, and I put my phone back and I get back to my inspired action, which is journaling. But the phone pings again. So I pick it up. Marlene goes, "Coaching?" She said, I want to have a conversation with you. Can we do breakfast this week? We have a senior vice president that I've been looking for a coach for." So, long story short, and there was the beginning, my first corporate client, the first engagement, it started. And by the way, that organization, over time, with multiple coaching engagements, training managers to lead, running off-site retreats, total revenues, uh, I tracked this stuff, just over $200,000. So unfolded, 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 the connections from there to others. So the leverage of inspired action toward a result is ridiculous. It's like, so if you would just go journal, that's how crazy it is. In this moment, if you would just go journal, quiet down, just journal, and the rest follows from that.
Yeah, and friends, sometimes the inspired action you're going to get is to get out of bed in the morning. So it's not always going to be a big thing. We don't want you to make a big piece out of this. This is also very simple as you go along, that you are just going to get guidance on something very simple that does have result. Result sometimes being a very good feeling. Result sometimes being a way for you to have an easier day. So we have lots of examples of following inspired action that leads to wonderful results. And it's also in the day-to-day living that you want to notice this stuff. You want to notice what you're feeling called to, no matter how simple it might be. Like in Dominic's example, just go journal. We're not making journaling a thing, by the way. It's not like that's an action that you have to follow. It's, what's the guidance that comes to you? And so often we're getting that nudge, just rest, just lie down, just eat that instead of that, you know? So simple, so simple. And life becomes miraculous, effortless. Things get done. We
Mm.
don't have to start then taking it into our own hands. Because your desire, and I really want you to hear this, your desire is enough. People think it needs to be so much more than that. They need to complicate and add more. No, your desire is enough. If you're feeling a yearning towards something, towards somewhere, towards somebody, trust it. Because your desire is enough. Remember, desidera from the Father. And you're already operating this way every day. When you're picking up a cup of coffee because you're wanting a coffee instead of a tea, or when you're deciding not to eat something because you don't feel like eating in that moment, you're following this inspired action every day in the small stuff and the big stuff. So you want to just start to trust
Yeah.
that it's enough.
Why don't we why don't we hear from you? I see some of you have uh, started to put some things in the chat, but would love for you to raise your hand, come off mute, share your experiences with this and questions. Yeah, but anything.
Danielle. Oh, we can't hear
Oh,
you.
why don't we
No.
come back to you
Yeah.
in a sec? See if you can.
Yeah, okay.
We'll come back.
So I
We'll come back to you, Danielle. Let's go to Gail.
Hello, see you. I wondered if you would say anything about right timing. Um, there's something about, oh, am I crossing over with Danielle?
Not yet.
It's a bit
No.
confusing. No, I just saw her image, that was all. Um, because it's interesting your story about taking time for this retreat with Grace to actually come into being. And as you know, I've been looking to move, hopefully happening in next month. Um, and it's that something about there's procrastination, putting things off, but there's also impatience about wanting things to happen sooner than maybe the universe wants them to. So I'm wondering if you and Grace have anything to say about that.
Say the question again.
It's about maybe my sound's down. Hold on a moment. I'm not
No,
sure.
no, just to repeat so it's what the
Yeah.
clear question is.
Something about trusting the timing of things to unfold compared to getting in the way of our inspired action or our desire, um, and or expecting it sooner and thinking, oh, it can't be the right desire because it's not happening now. And I just wondered what you and Grace might say about this whole timing issue in a way. Does that make sense?
It's a great question. Yeah.
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 Grace, did you want
Go ahead.
to?
Go ahead, Dominic.
So this is all in the knowing. So imagine the action or of the desire is already known. This makes sense,
Mm.
I think, is to say, I might not know. I might not know the who I meet, what happens when I meet them, the next action that I do, and all of that. And the whole thing unfolds to something, right? But you do know that from an infinite intelligence, it's known.
Mm.
You cannot have a desire that is not already known because from the finite mind, there is nothing you can conceive of and nothing that you can imagine that is not in the instant of the conception of it already known how that would work. From exactly where you are. This is like in a navigation system. You cannot plug in a destination without it instantly knowing the path to that destination. And it knows from the desired endpoint to where you are now, and in an instant calculation under these conditions in this traffic, what the path of least resistance is direct to it. So here's the thing. That happens in no time. It happens in an instant, right? And then you are guided. Now, do I have to wait around? Do you wait around for a navigation system to guide you? Or do you move, and then the navigation system guides? Then because if you remain still, the navigation system stays silent. When you move to the instruction, the next instruction comes. If you come to a stop, the navigation system goes silent again, right? But the entire journey is already known. And so even that's kind of funny. You say, well, do I need patience? For what? What's the patience for? The entire journey is laid out. This is the path of least resistance. It is the most joyful path from where you are, because that's the only path the infinite knows is a joyful one, not a sad, not a scary, not a frightening, not a despair path. The infinite knows only a joyful path from where you are, the highest joy from where you are to where you want to be. And so I don't know if that answered the question or if it left you more.
I think you saying about standing still was unhelpful. Um, so yes, yeah. But I still see that we don't necessarily know the entire route or the entire path or how long it might take. But it's trusting, something about trusting the that it will happen. And I can see that in my life that things happen. I've set things years ago and now they're sort of unfolding, not just the moving, other things. And so you're thinking, oh yeah, I didn't know how that was going to happen. So, yes, I can see that there's an element of trust in here and also not blocking by standing still, you might say. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Thank you. Mm.
That's really
thank you.
big to see, Gail, as well,
Can you
that
say that again?
that's really big to see
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
often our impatience is not trusting.
Mm, mm, mm.
And I think you brought up a point that Natalia is also somewhat bringing up on the comments, which I heard you said something, Gail, around, if it's taking this long, does it mean the desire's not meant to happen? If it's taking a long time, am I getting it wrong? Or is this not the will of God? And it's like, no, that's what we make up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever's happening externally about your desire has nothing to do with the gods punishing you for your desire or the gods slowing it down. Natalia wrote in, does the feeling of desire ever come with deep sadness? Absolutely not. Almost despair, like what's the point? It's not going to happen. That is the BS, Natalia. That is not the desire. In it, very innocently, we get, this is how quick this can happen. You get an inspired action and immediately discouragement arises.
Mhm.
Bob the
Even
drunk
just
guy.
doubt.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
just doubt. It doesn't even have to be ugly.
yeah,
Just opposed thought.
yeah.
You can't really do that. Well, you don't know anything about this. Just a little thing like that.
That's right. That's right. See, that's what our sharing, our pointing to inspired action. is really around tuning into the channel of your wisdom and what you're hearing as an inspired action first versus being so tuned into, connected to, and honoring off innocently the doubt and the discouragement and the despair. And, oh, this is taking a long time. Maybe this isn't really my desire. Maybe the universe doesn't want this. You see? You see? Learned thinking.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you
Thank
both.
you.
Thank you. By the way, as an aside on that, the stronger and more intense that disharmonious energy is, the stronger and more intense the actual desire is. Because if I had a desire to do this, but I don't care one way or another, and then I had a thought that says, well, you're never going to achieve it anyway, I'd go, well, then that's just too bad, right? Like I'm not all that emotional about it. But if I had this desire that I wanted, to be in a relationship or to have something that's really important to me, and then it's saying you will never have that, the stab in the heart would be very painful, right? If for me to hear this opposed thought. So the intensity of the emotion only reveals the intensity of that desire that actually exists.
Yeah.
Well, Danielle.
So, building from that, I'm trying to discern or quietly listen to see what is those inspired actions. So, just exactly building from that last conversation. Very clear. I was very inspired with limited time, to get out on a frozen lake. Super clear. Really hoping it helps bring me some clarity for my next question. Because I don't know if the inspired action, if I'm just having all the clouds in my head getting in the way, or if I'm overthinking, or if it's like a gut feeling, or if it's Bob. Like it's hard. I have a business opportunity path, but I'm not. I'm also a little bit hesitant. Like I'm not, but my head's. I can't get. I can't figure. Like I can't figure out how to listen. I can't figure out how to listen to my gut, or whatever.
Mm. There's something about from our Living Miraculously session this week. We actually had Michael Neal on, and he gave us this amazing distinction as a guest coach. Well, Danielle, if you think about from that conversation, is you said right now, you said you don't know the next thing, or how did you just say this?
I'm not sure how, I'm not sure the next step. I'm not sure how to reply. I'm not sure what I should do. I'm not sure if there are
Okay.
like two paths. Ah,
Okay, okay. So whatever that is that's been presented to you, is it a yes?
what do you mean? Sorry.
Is it a yes? There's some request or something that's you've received. Is that a yes?
Does it feel like a yes? Part. Part of
So
it's a
it's
yes.
not. So it's not.
Oh,
So it's not. So let me ask the next
oh.
question. Is it a no?
No, it's not a no. It's
Okay.
definitely not a no.
So it's not a yes. It's
Yeah.
not a no. And
Mm.
so do you not know? I don't know. Is that what this is?
Yes.
Perfect. And that's where you want to be. You want to be in the clarity of that. Is it a yes? Is it a no? It is an I don't know. And what the universe does when you can stand in the clarity of I don't know, it continues to increase the clarity so that you can come to know which it is. But when
Mm.
you are resisting that I don't know, you then use your own thinking to add up. Well, I don't know. What are the pros? What are the cons? Is it a yes or is it a no? Well, you don't need to figure that out because the universe already figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so it invites
That helped.
a clarity of I don't know.
Yeah.
And now you could be with it in not knowing. and life continues to unfold with more inspiration. Oh, go over here, go to the coffee shop, take a look at that billboard. And you look at that billboard and it goes, oh my God, it's a no. I don't know, there's some slogan on the billboard, but you read it and it's just like that. You go, oh, it's a no. That's not for me to do.
Or it's
Or,
just a feeling that comes up, even nothing so obvious. I guess it's just a nudge, it's a feeling.
right.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Danielle, most people don't want to be in the unknown. And so you can use a lot of mental energy trying to figure out the answer when the answer is, I don't know. And until you do, you get to be where you're at.
Yeah.
We don't need to drive ourselves mad with trying to figure out.
Gosh.
You see? That's just
Yeah.
another way to use thought. It's another way to keep our minds very busy. I'm so aware of the time
Yeah.
that I feel like we want to transition a little bit back over to Sheila, and then if there's still time, we
Yes.
can move
We'll,
on.
yeah.
So
So
thank you
let's
for
get,
your questions.
thank you, Danielle.
Mm.
Sheila, yeah.
Yeah, sure. And just listening and observing and remembering and being with it. And I've just been away and spent a weekend with people I don't usually spend a weekend with, time with at all. And it's so apparent to me that when we're with in this conversation, I think that's what I'm pointing to. When we're in this conversation, it's so much easier, in my opinion, in my experience, to and be reminded of how this works and just giving ourselves time and space and being with others who have the looking in the same direction is really, really powerful. Being away from our home environment and being surrounded by in this conversation is just super powerful in terms of being able to listen to what we're inspired by even. Like it's so easy to not even know what we're inspired by because we're so busy listening to, I'm going to use that BS word again, as to why not, why not, why not. And so having run retreats for many, many years, I know the power of being away from home, away, I like the term that Grace uses, home thinking, being away from home thinking. There's something about that. You come here and you're not in your regular home thinking that allows us to just drop into a space where we can hear what's happening and then we've got wonderful guides such as Dominic and Grace who can point us in the direction of what's true, of what inspired action is all about. So the invitation is to come out here to where I live, to the sunshine. Generally speaking, in May, it's pretty warm, and have some space away from your home thinking, from your home, and relax, chill. And we also structure the days in a way that means that you can enjoy the local scenery. And we have beach, we have lots of beautiful cafes and the sunshine, as I say, and a lovely lighthouse walk, sunrise walks and sunset walks. And it's a whole package, really. So the invitation is for you to join us. It's the 15th to the 17th of May this year. And we do have an early bird price. And we would absolutely love for you to be here with us. I'm going to put a link in the comments. And I think, is there anything else to add?
Well, the exploration across those couple of days is living miraculously. And that includes tapping into inspired action. So some of you might not necessarily be familiar with living miraculously, but you've had a taste today of the sort of direction Dominic and I love to go in. And we get to learn just as much each time we do this. We never know what's going to come out because it's always fresh. But this exploration is really born from seeing the miraculous in your life and living from that space, effortless, unfolding, trusting, joyful. And there is, as Sheila said, there is a power to getting out of our usual environment and being with people at that level of consciousness. I don't know about you, but where I am, I'm not surrounded by that. And so I just love the opportunity to be around community and to experience a shift in consciousness and conversations and just lovely evenings in Albir where the sun is shining. So Sheila, thanks for posting the link. Yeah, that's great. And we do have an early bird. You'll know if this is an inspired action. You'll feel a stirring within you if this is for you. Just now recognize if the BS is coming in to talk you out of it. But we invite you to consider it. And yeah,
Yeah.
we hope you'll
It
join us.
it and here's the thing I invite you to as well is when you feel it, and I really learned this in an embodied way with the whole move to this house, because this was a real dream. But when you feel it as a yes, then just realize it's a yes. This is going to sound funny. Commit to the yes, which does not mean you register, sign up, and pay. That's not what I'm saying. Commit to the yes, commit to staying in the feeling of the yes. And the yes will handle all doubts through the feeling. It will handle everything. It would handle money. It would handle everything through the feeling. So Grace and I are a little different this way. Grace, in her level of faith, may commit to a yes and actually put a deposit. I will not. So for me, I'll commit to the yes, I'll commit to staying in the feeling, and I will commit to be inspired to what's next, such that the action flows for me. Because because I'm not going to take a discordant action, an action which is disharmonious from where I'm standing, but I will commit to the yes and commit to the feeling of the yes in a knowing that the yes will show me the way. That's what I invite you to do about this. So if this is something that resonates, do the yes and then watch what happens. If you
That's
can
right.
stay in the feeling, watch what happens. Yeah,
And
beautiful.
feel free to be in touch with us, in touch with Sheila and ourselves. If this is a yes for you and it is about um, figuring out, because sometimes there is that element of yes, and then you may have a lot of thinking about how it's going to happen. Feel free to be in touch with us if you genuinely have a yes commitment. And we would love to be with you and we'd love to see you there. And yeah, I will usually do that, Dominic, and I'll get on the airplane and I'll book the flight and I'll book everything because I don't want any chance of the BS talking me out of what I already know is a yes.
And that would scare the hell out of me. It's kind of like and this is, Grace and I are these are great example. We are unique in our ways, right? And we both go to the same place in our own unique ways.
Yeah.
Even every time Grace tells me that, and even just the way Grace and I really connected, she literally got on an airplane and didn't have the money for the hotel where she was landing in New York City. That I just can't believe it because we were doing some program and I only found out about this later. And I'm like, how can you do that? But she can do that. I could not, right? I don't judge myself for it. And
No,
yeah.
no. The how got figured out. But anyway,
Yes.
you all do you.
Wonderful.
We're just describing some ways that it can happen, and we hope to see you there.
Thanks, everyone.
Sheila, shall we bring it to a close?
Yes. Would you like me to bring it to close? Is that what you're asking? Just to
Yeah,
say thank
yeah.
you to everybody for being here. I noticed at some point we had 99 people here, so I don't know if you broke the room, Dominic, or not, because it's your
I
room this
did. I
time.
got a warning.
Oh,
I
did
got a
you?
warning that we capacity and they aren't letting more people.
Such an amazing turnout. We're really, really
Yes.
grateful for your being here and for your questions, for your input. Only sorry we can't get to them all. And yeah, as Dominic and Grace have said, we'd love questions. If you have any questions at all about the retreat, please feel free to get in touch with any of us. And we'll see you maybe on another one, or we'll see you here in Spain. Okay, take care, everybody.
For now.
Bye for now. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.